Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahmavitvaram Satgurum Brahmavitvaram Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanamakhilādharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye Arthatopyadvayanandan Atitadvaita Bhanatah Guruna Radhya Vedanta Saram Vakshe Yathamati. Hari Om. After having elaborated Shravanam and Mananam, Swamiji is now elaborating the topic of Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam is the ability to put our mind with the help of Vedanta Vichara in Atma. Putting our mind in Atma means mind should be able to effortlessly think about our own true nature as pure consciousness. And more the desire we have to abide in Atma, more the clarity about nature of Atma, and the single-pointed quest for moksha, Nididhyasanam will become easier and easier. Any topic for that matter, it is hard to meditate unless we connect with that topic. Unless we value that topic, meditation becomes very difficult. Nididhyasanam is also like that. If we have love for Vedanta and we have appreciated the teaching of Vedanta, then mind will naturally want to go back to that state again and again. Mind will naturally want to think about nature of Atma repeatedly. The main purpose of Nididhyasanam is to remove erroneous notions that in spite of hearing, in spite of logically understanding, I am that non-dual truth. There is nothing other than me. So where is the question of any sorrow? There is nothing to say, there is nothing to do. There is only Shuddha Chaitanya, Brahma Satyam Eva. And Jagat Mithya also, he has logically understood. Jiva is one with Brahma. Mahavakya also he has understood. But it's an inexplicable state where past erroneous notions keep interfering and don't allow him to benefit from his own knowledge. It is just like when our name gets changed. When our name gets changed, we know that we have a new name. But at least for some time, the old name only lingers on. It happened to all of us during Diksha time. For 2-3 days, if somebody called you by your new name, you are happily walking away. That is called as Viparita Bhavana. Means it is not that I don't know I have a new name, but the old vasanas are so powerful that they take over. So what do we have to do? Sit down in one place and keep repeating with knowledge that this is a new identity. My old identity is not the one I should be holding on to. Same thing we do in Nididhyasana. We bring in Vedantic thoughts and try to own up this new identity revealed to us by Upanishads. Another type of Nididhyasanam is given in Panchadashi. Now, it's not possible that we can always sit in one place throughout the day and keep doing meditation. We have so many other duties to do, other things to do. But in and through those duties also, if we can keep thinking about Vedanta, if Vedantic ideas can keep getting repeated in our mind, whenever we get a small window, that is called as Nididhyasanam. If we get even one person who is willing to listen to us, catch him, bring him close by, and then share the ideas in a way that he will stay for some more time. Okay, not the other way. He came close but went away quickly also. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam. Chintanam means to reflect upon it on our own. Kathanam means to share with somebody such that we get more clarity.
Bankruptcy of business he ran that was recently valued at $32 billion. But those are the words.
Okay, there's some disturbance. To share with somebody in a way that it gives more clarity to us. Tat chintanam, tat kathanam. And discussing with two people. So sharing with somebody is when that person might be new and is expecting some insights, which he probably doesn't know. But if there are two sadhakas, both of whom they have done shravanam, then there can be mutual sharing of thoughts. Anyonyam tat prabodhanam means you explain one idea, the other person explains what they have understood. Etadeka paratvam cha brahmabhyasam vidurbudhaha. This contemplation on that advitiya vastu is also called as brahmabhyasa or nididhyasanam. The main thing is we should be able to put our mind in our swarupa. This is said in 7th chapter of Panchadashi, that another way of meditation is to reflect upon it. Now he doesn't have doubts at that point. That chintanam is not mananam. That chintanam is just enjoying what is said in Vedanta about our nature. It is said about Raman Maharshi, Bhagavan has translated Atma Bodha in Tamil. He has translated Atma Bodha in Tamil. And when he was doing it, somebody asked him, or Bhagavan himself said, it looks like I have seen these verses before. Meaning what? That's Kavya Kanta Ganapati Muni was like him. He said, Bhagavan, you only have composed it. You only have composed it. All these verses have come from you alone. Meaning that Shuddha Chaitanya is the source of all knowledge. It is a substratum of all knowledge. Whenever Mahatmas like them, they are reading something, that is just to say what is spoken about them in scriptures. Bhagavan only has said in one place where he says, somebody asked him, Bhagavan, why do you have to read, or why are you reading Upanishads? He said, I'm just seeing what is being said about me. Once somebody has gotten nishtha, conviction, then reading again is a great joy, it's a great reminder. So that is one aspect of Nididhyasanam. So technically we had seen them as Drishyanu Viddha and Shabdanu Viddha. Within Savikalpa there are two types. So Swamiji explained what is Savikalpa. Letting go of all vijatiya pratyayas. contrary notions about body, I am mind, world is real. All of this nets substances, there is joy in the world outside. Of all Viparit Bhavanas, the final culmination is this. There is Sukham in the world outside. I have to do something to be happy. These ideas are Vijatiya Pratyaya. Removing this Vijatiya Pratyaya with Vedantic thoughts. That is called as meditation. Savikalpa Samadhi, Swamiji had mentioned that. Now within Savikalpa we said there are two types, Drishyanu Viddha and Shabdanu Viddha. Drishyanu Viddha is when we take a thought and shift attention to the witness of thought. Any thought which is coming, that thought we can use not to get carried away with that thought, not to judge that thought, but to shift attention to the witness of thought. Now it is not that we are seeking thoughts. You say, oh, thought is not there, how will I shift attention to consciousness? Not in that way. Consciousness is illumining presence and absence of thoughts. If presence of thought is there, it doesn't bother the sadhaka. If absence of thought is there, he doesn't initiate a new thought or he doesn't get lost. What should I observe now? Shifting attention from drishya to drashta. Shifting attention to drashta with the support of drishya, that is called as drishya anuviddha samadhi. The name only tells the meaning of that practice. Drishya anuviddha, meaning taking support of drishya, shift attention to drashta. Second type of samadhi is Shabdanu Viddha Samadhi, where having shifted attention to drashta, we take words, like what we saw in this verse, Drishyaswarupam, Gaganopamam Param, Sakrut Vibhatam. The depth of meditation is how long we can hold on to each word without allowing any other thought to interfere. How long we can hold on to this thought that I am Drishyaswarupa. So this is called as Shabdanu Viddha Samadhi, which is a progression after Drishyanu Viddha. This is where we had seen until Drishyanu Viddha, everybody is comfortable. But when you go into Shabdanu Viddha, when you start meditating upon words, unless we have done Shravanam, unless we have clarity, that seems very vague kind of meditation, Shabdanu Viddha. But for somebody who has done Shravanam, it becomes a great joy. In spite of perceiving the triad of meditator, Brahma, which is the meditated, and this vritti, the thought which is telling me, I am not this person. Thought which is telling me, I am not body. In spite of perceiving the triad, he knows there is only Advaita. There is no duality. This perception is only a perception. It's only an appearance. It's not real. And Swamiji said, the example for this is, you see a clay elephant. Seeing the clay elephant, attention is still on the clay. Now they do Christmas lighting in the backyard and courtyard, in the garden outside. Really speaking, it's only lights. But they make animals out of it. They make different forms out of it. Just like in spite of seeing the form, the knowledge is it's only light. In the same way, when he sees duality, the knowledge is it's only consciousness. So paying attention on non-duality in spite of perceiving duality, that is called as Savikalpa Samadhi. How will one be able to do that? That in spite of perceiving duality, your attention is on non-duality, on the strength of knowledge. If Shravanam has become clear, and I have sufficiently thought over this subject, that Vedanta Jnanam doesn't destroy the world. Vedanta Jnanam doesn't destroy duality. Vedanta Jnanam only tells me the nature of substratum in which this duality is appearing. Duality cannot be destroyed. Why do you say that? Why can't duality be destroyed? You can type it also. Okay. We say duality cannot and need not be destroyed. Why do you say so? All of you are with me, right? Okay. It is our... Why are people able to unmute themselves? Okay, don't uncheck that option. Huh? Participants unmuting should be unchecked. Don't check it. It's our experience because duality is an appearance. Duality will continue to appear due to Maya. Chitta vritti of samskaras, they will continue. It is not real. So there are not ways to destroy it. Every jiva is Chaitanya. Sense perceptions will always be there of the non-dual singularity. Good. How can one destroy what does not exist? Just like mirage water cannot be destroyed. Very good, very good. The same thing we have to remind ourselves in meditation. What is really not there, or what is adhyastha, what is superimposed, the statement that the superimposed was destroyed is really speaking an erroneous statement. So with that knowledge, he is able to pay attention to the substratum, which is consciousness. Starting from this body and this mind, he is able to put in that category of superimposed. But at the same time, without insisting on non-perception of body, non-perception of mind, he says what is really there is that Advaita Vastu, Advitiya Vastu, that Advitiya Vastu I am. Okay. So that was the part of Savikalpa Samadhi. Now comes Nirvikalpa Samadhi, 197. Nirvikalpa Kastu Jnatru-jnanadi Vikalpalaya Apekshaya Advitiya Vastuni Tadakara Karitayaha Tadakara Karitayaha Chittavrittehe Atitaram Eki bhavena avasthanam. That hyphen you can remove. It should be Eki bhavena avasthanam. What is Nirvikalpaka Samadhi? Jnatru jnanadi vikalpalaya apekshaya. In Savikalpa there was perception of triad of jnata, Jnaya and Jnanam. Whereas in Nirvikalpa, the triad itself is not perceived. Nirvikalpa laya apekshaya. There it was laya anapekshaya. The triad is not there. I mean, the triad is being perceived, but at the same time, attention is on substratum, which is non-duality. This was in Savikalpa Samadhi. Now, if somebody practices this for a sufficiently long time and gets a good hold over Nididhyasanam, the absorption in that non-dual truth and non-perception of duality, that is called as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Vikalpalaya apekshaya advitiya vastuni tadakara karitaya. Mind has become of the nature of Brahman, Having reflected upon nature of Brahman in that way, it has become one with it. Chitta vrittehi atitaram eki bhavena avasthanam means supreme most absorption in that Advaita Vastu. Now here, there is very little self-effort involved. When we start with Savikalpa Samadhi. Savikalpa Samadhi means duality is there, thoughts are there, and we try to bring this knowledge that in spite of all this duality, what is really there is Advitiya Vastu. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that Savikalpa Samadhi has ripened so much that not even one thought is rising. It's a great state attained by great yogis. Because imagine for a mind to have no thoughts, worldly thoughts, Vedantic thought is there. It's not perceived. Swamiji will clarify that later. Aham Brahmasmi Vritti is there in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But it is not perceived as the triad. But what is it that really brings out of a meditative state? It's the worldly thoughts. Something of the world pulls us out from this state that I am Brahman. That single pointed stream of thought which should continue, that doesn't continue because some other thought brings us out. So over here, it is said, none of the worldly thoughts are interfering. He is able to put his mind only in this Advitiya Vastu. And it is said, one has to have a lot of punya karma. To go in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, we need lot of sadhana, lot of punya karma. For the same reason. Imagine there has to be some mind which doesn't have a thought sprouting. How much of punya karma it should have done so that this mind is not having any other worldly thoughts. Okay, so main thing to take away here is what we should strengthen is Savikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa is result of mature Savikalpa practice. Have you seen that stereogram that they make of images? Generally, they make the Om image over there. The initial part, it's like a pattern, There'll be a painting like a pattern, repetitive pattern, and you have to keep staring at one point. Initially, when you see only the pattern which is painted there. But if you pay attention to that one spot for sufficiently long time, then that pattern fades away. And they say also, don't look into the pattern, look behind the pattern. There is an instruction written there. If you look behind the pattern, what is there, what is unseen right now, that will become seen. That Om which is unseen to you, that will become seen. And once you see that, for maybe a minute or so, then you don't have to put forth effort. It's very easy. Means effortlessly you are seeing that Om and it continues. That is exactly this Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Initial part is to see that whole pattern and you are struggling to see what is that Om. Where is the substratum? But if you have appreciated the meditation practice correctly and our Shravanam is thorough, then we can pay attention to Advitiya Vastu. Once that happens, and if you are able to hold on to it is at the exclusion of all other thoughts, that is the next stage of meditation, which is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Okay. Now example for Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Tadatu Jalakara Karita Lavana Anavabhasena Jalamatra Avabhasavate Advitiya Vastu Akarakarita Chitta Vritti Anavabhasena Advitiya Vastu Matram Avabhasate. The example for Nirvikalpa Samadhi, just like if you have a salt lump or you say salt doll, which is going to find depth of the ocean. That salt doll trying to find depth of the ocean. The moment it merges with the ocean, it becomes one with it. Not to say that that salt is not there. Huh? Salt is very well there, but you cannot perceive it. In the same way, the triad in Nirvikalpa Samadhi is also there. Brahmakara Vritti is also there, but it is not perceived distinctly. Tadacha Jalakara Karita Lavana Anavabhasen. When you mix that salt doll in the water, it has become Jala Akara Karita. It has become one with that water. The salt is not perceived anymore. Jala Matra Avabhasavat. What is there is only water. Like that, Advitiya Vastu Akara Karita Chitta Vritti Anavabhasena. That water is compared to Advitiya Vastu. And Chitta Vritti is a salt doll. When that Chitta Vritti merges in Advitiya Vastu, and there is no perception of Chitta Vritti. Advitiya Vastu Akara Karita Chitta Vritti Anavabhasena. What remains? Only that Advitiya Vastu remains. Advitiya Vastu Matram Avabhasate. Just like only that water remained after that salt doll got mixed with ocean water. Now, how is it different from Savikalpa Samadhi? That in Savikalpa Samadhi, this bhanam is there, I am the meditator. This knowledge or this awareness is there that I am meditating with the help of this vritti. Oh, now one vritti has come, which is telling me I am this body, I am this mind. Again, you bring another vritti, so there is effort involved. But when this sadhana gets ripened, Savikalpa Samadhi gets ripened, that leads us to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Means we are discussing all these pointers. One is there should be inspiration to meditate. With whatever benefit we can get from it, physiological benefits also can be there. One of our Swamiji would say, to appreciate yoga, they connected yoga with roga. Patanjali Maharshi, to appreciate yoga, he connected with roga. But real benefit of Nididhyasanam is to remove viparita bhavanas. So whatever inspires us to meditate, if somebody says, I sit down and just be in one place for half an hour, that clears my mind. Even if somebody starts with that, it is said it is better than not meditating. But if we have started anyway, why not look at the main purpose of meditation and do it the Vedantic way? And Nirvikalpa Samadhi also, one should not feel, oh, this is not for me. Then why would Swamiji give it in Vedanta Saar? What he's pointing at is, let us orient our lives in such a way, let us start living our lives in such a way that we can move closer to what they are wanting us to go closer to. Later on, all the sadhanas will be mentioned for Nirvikalpa Samadhi also. Nothing mentioned in Vedanta, we should feel it is not for us. If it was not for us, they would not give it in the first place. It is only to inspire us to walk in the right direction. Okay, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is that. Now comes one doubt in the mind of a student. It can come. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi is absolute bliss, no perception of triad. He says, I go in Nirvikalpa Samadhi every day. Deep sleep, it is the same thing which happens. There is no perception of triad. Why do so much of sadhana to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, control your mind and everything, when I'm getting it every day without any sadhana? So Swamiji takes the effort to clarify that Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not the same as deep sleep. You can draw analogies and you can make comparisons, but every example will have a shortcoming. Means it will have some limitation that he is pointing out, and he says deep sleep is not Nirvikalpa Samadhi. You see now 199th verse. Tatascha asya sushuptehe cha abheda shanka na bhavati ubhayatra vritti abhane samane api tatsadbhava asadbhava matrena anayoho bheda upapattehe. Between Nirvikalpa Samadhi and deep sleep, he says the main difference is in Nirvikalpa Samadhi there is Brahmakara Vritti, and in deep sleep there is no Brahmakara Vritti. Non-perception is there in both. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi there is no perception of duality, including Brahmakara Vritti, and in deep sleep there is no perception of anything. But he says in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that meditator is very much aware of that bliss. It's a very subtle difference. He says in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that mind has not gone to sleep. That mind is very much aware of the bliss, whereas in deep sleep, that mind is unaware completely of bliss. That's why whatever we are claiming as I slept very well, it doesn't happen while sleeping. It happens after waking up in deep sleep, because at that time, mind was absent. Whereas in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is a vibrant joy. The mind is very much awake, it is not in tamas, but because of sadhana, all other vrittis have been quietened, and even this perception of triad, the perception is not there. Means Advitiya Vastu, the focus has been so much, just like that background fades away and you see only the Om in that stereogram, like that only Advitiya Vastu is present. Tatascha sushuptescha abheda shanka na bhavati. Don't get confused between sushupti and deep sleep. Don't say that both are similar. Abheda means there is no bheda between both of them. If you have this doubt, then Swamiji is clarifying. Ubhayatra vritti abhane samane api. In both cases, there is vritti abhana. Means nothing is being perceived. So abhana is common in both of them. Abhana means non-perception. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi also, world is not perceived, and this duality is not perceived. Pride is not perceived. In deep sleep also, no duality is perceived. No triad is there, nothing is there. So this is the similarity, he says, between Nirvikalpa and deep sleep. What is the dissimilarity? Tat sadbhava. Tat sadbhava means in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is sadbhava of this Brahmakara vritti. And in deep sleep, asadbhava matrena anayoho bheda upapattehe. In deep sleep, there is no Brahmakara vritti. That is why whenever we wake up from deep sleep, samsara is still real. World is still real. All the sorrows which were there, they are also still real. Whereas in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, if that person has done it in the right way, when they wake up from Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the world is perceived as mithya. It is not that in Nirvikalpa Samadhi there was absence of world, and when he wakes up, again he goes back into the same old state. So world continues to be perceived as Badita Anuvritti. Badita Anuvritti means negated perception. So this is the difference. If somebody wakes up from deep sleep, they go into deep sleep as ajnani. They wake up from deep sleep also as ajnani. Whereas in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, because of that Samadhi Abhyasa and the knowledge which is there, that Brahmakara Vritti is not perceived in Nirvikalpa. But when that person wakes up, that same Jivan Mukti Ananda he can enjoy in waking state also. Okay, this is the difference. Now comes a very nice portion. By the way, this point, what we saw, right? Difference between Nirvikalpa Samadhi and deep sleep. Bhagwan mentions in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam. He says, Sukham atyantikam yattat. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, he enjoys that supreme most bliss. But it is buddhigrahyam. That buddhigrahyam word has come to remove Sushupti Ananda. It is not like the Ananda which is experienced in deep sleep. It is very well noticed. Vibrant joy, that is the best word for this. It is very well perceived, buddhigrahyam. Same time, it is not Vishayananda. That's why Bhagwan adds the word atindriyam. It is not something that sense organs are enjoying and that Ananda he is getting. Everything has been withdrawn, yet he enjoys, yet he revels in that bliss. Sukhamatyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam. Now, if somebody is inspired to live a life like this, go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, do Savikalpa Samadhi Abhyasa. There are some lifestyle changes that should come. The insignia of a meditator, how it should be, that is elaborated in the next portion. Very relevant portion. More we keep reflecting upon it, more we will notice what are the areas that we have to work on in our everyday life. Half an hour meditation is 23.5 hours of preparation. In that 23.5 hours, what I should do, what to stay away from, that is elaborated in this Ashtanga Yoga Sadhana. Asya angani Yama and Niyama asana pranayama pratyahara dharana dhyana samadhayah asya nirvikalpaka samadhehe. Of this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, these are the angas. Two words are there. One is called as angi, another is called as anga. The body is called as angi. The limbs of the body, the parts of the body are called as anga. How do we say, I have a healthy body? Only when all angas are healthy. If one anga is having some kind of pain, the whole angi is having pain. Like that, these 8 limbs are the 8 facets or the 8 body parts of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Even if one limb is having some shortcoming, if one limb is having some limitation, then it is said Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not possible. Means it will become more challenging. Okay. So anga angi means that. Angi is the one which is the whole. And anga is the part which is nourishing that whole. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi is what we want. So what are those facets in our personality which will nourish this Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Means how can I meditate better? How can I quieten my mind in a better way? Now we have seen this in Drigdrishya Viveka. When we went over Samadhi Abhyasa, we saw all the 8 limbs. So we'll try to revise some of it and some new pointers also we will reflect. The authority on this topic is Patanjali Yoga Sutra. How to do this practice, what happens when you do this practice, both of it we can rely upon that. Now the first one is Yamaha, 201. Tatra Ahimsa Satya Asteya Brahmacharya Aparigrahaha Yamaha. These are the 5 Yamaha. These are the 5 Yamas. What is Yama and Niyama? What is the difference between both of them? Yama means those set of rules that we have to follow while interacting with others. Whenever we are in transaction, whenever we are in Vyavahara, those set of rules that govern our Vyavahara, that is called as Yama. Niyama means self-disciplines even when nobody is watching us. Even when nobody is around, those self-disciplines which are for ourselves, that is called as Niyama. And if somebody is a sadhaka, that sadhaka feels inspired to go by these rules. He doesn't feel, oh, why am I doing this? Why are they telling all these things are to be done? Because his goal is to do pushti of that angi. Pushti means nourishment. So he wants to meditate. With that goal in mind, he says, whatever is being asked, I am inspired to live that way. Goswami has written Vibhishan Gita within Ramcharitmanas and Lanka Kanda, the chariot, inner chariot, the chariot of dharma. He says it's more powerful than Ravana's paraphernalia of all the weapons and everything that he has come decked with. Bhagavan says, I have an inner chariot which Ravana doesn't have. And there he says, Sauraja Dhiraja Tehiratha Chaka Satya Sila Druda Dhwaja Pataka. The reason I brought this up is one of the Yama is Satya. He says that is the Dhwaja. Dhwaja means in olden days, whenever a warrior would go in a battlefield, the other people should know where our commander is. They didn't have any cameras or anything, right? So they would see the Dhwaja. So looking at Kapit Dhwaja, they know Arjuna is fighting that side of the battlefield. So that Dhwaja becomes an insignia of the warrior. And Pataka means which is put right on the chariot. Means it will be in the front. The people nearby can know who is in the chariot. So if you want to map it, the Yama is like that Dhwaja. Whenever somebody thinks about that person, it is that these indicators should come in mind about that person. One who is a yogi, all the Yamas should become his personality. It should become his second nature. And Pataka is those values which are more closer to us. Means even without people interacting with people, those disciplines which we follow for ourselves. The first one is Ahimsa. Ahimsa is being very, very sensitive towards the emotions of others. The Ahimsa that we are generally familiar with is towards animals. Means what is the bhava there? What I would not like to be done to myself, one should not do it to others. What is not our authority means we don't have ability to give life. At the same time, the corollary is we have no right to take it away also. This bhava, when it comes, that is ahimsa, more at the animal, that level. Now the other part is okay. You should be mindful if you are having your video on. The other part is ahimsa in our everyday life. Ahimsa in everyday life means in our own transactions, there can be himsa which is happening with so many different facets. One of the simple thing is ahimsa or himsa through speech. Being very, very mindful about that facet becomes ahimsa for a sadhaka. Physical himsa, if somebody has come to this point, that should be a strict no-no. We will never end up, hopefully, in that category. But this mind, you never know. If there is any vritti which is overpowering, nobody can say for certain. Only thing we can say is so far so good. So far so good. And our prayer to Bhagwan only should be that ab tak to nibhaya hai, aage bhi nibha lena. Until now you have taken care of, you should take care hereafter also. Okay, so this part is of speech level himsa. That speech which creates udvega, that speech which creates agitation, that itself is himsa at speech level. And whatever it takes to avoid this udvega in ourselves and in others, that becomes our sadhana. Now, himsa can also be through body language. Means, if somebody is not alert about body language, through that only there can be some kind of agitation in other people's mind. I remember we had one conference, of all Swamins and Brahmacharyans. And there were many senior Swamijis who had come. And we were sitting in one session, and that Swamiji in front turned back and asked something. Now this person who was sitting next to me was a very young Brahmachari. While conversing only, by mistake he said, "No, Swamiji." Like he showed his hand to say no. 15 minutes he got scolded. How you should be mindful about your body language while speaking to elders, in particular a Swamiji. He says showing your hand is one kind of himsa. See, that sadhaka is striving for Nirvikalpa Samadhi. For anybody, this might seem like a very too far-fetched idea, too much you are stretching the meaning of ahimsa. But what is telling the brahmachari there is, be very, very mindful and sensitive about body language. Okay. The Valmiki Ramayana, inspiration. You know that story, right? How it comes. Valmiki Rishi is taking bath on Tamasa river, and he sees a hunter send an arrow to a crauncha bird, like a crane bird. And same Valmiki ji, who was Ratnakara before, who himself might have sent so many arrows. But now there is transformation in his heart, that there is so much of sensitivity, that the shloka that comes out when he sees that thing, it is an anushtup chanda. Ma nishada pratishtatvam. He tells that hunter, "What have you done?" And he scolds him. But when he comes back, that same drishya is going in his mind. And that same shloka is getting repeated in his mind, that meter, anushtup chanda meter. So then Brahmaji comes and gives him darshan, and he says, "Now compose Valmiki Ramayana. And do it with a lot of love to Bhagwan Rama." That is a transformation that ahimsa can bring. That is the first one. But we should see in ourselves, what are the triggers of himsa in our personality. So himsa is whatever agitates others, that is called as himsa over here. Okay, so it can also be at thought level. Means if somebody is Vedanta sadhaka, he cannot think ill about anybody. The natural result of himsa is krodha. Krodha means anger. And if we have anger, or we got into a conversation, got into some vyavahara which triggers anger, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is out of the door. Then we come and sit, even if we have the best meditative verse, asangoham, asangoham. None of that is going to work. That is what Himsa will do to us. But the main sadhana here is we should see how this Ahimsa word should open up in our life. What things we are not doing will not bother us. Like if we are not killing animals, that is never going to be our source of obstacle in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But Ahimsa will take different forms, or Himsa will take different forms and enter our transactions. That is where we have to be alert. Second one is Satya. Satya is making sure that whatever we think, whatever we speak, and whatever we do, everything is aligned. Inner alignment between our thought, speech, and actions. Manasa, vachasa, karmana. Whatever is done, whatever different actions are done, all three are aligned. That is called as Satyam. Means any of these yamas we hold on to, lot of transformation will come in life, lot of alertness will be needed in life. There is a story of Satyakama Jabala. It comes in Chandogya Upanishad. He wants to study Brahma Vidya. And he goes to his teacher. The teacher says, I have to initiate you in Upanayanam. For that ritual, I need to know your Janma Kundali, which Gotra, what are the other things. You go ask your mother and come. And mother only says, tell your teacher that I really don't know your Gotra. I really don't know your Gotra. That much she says. Now Satyakama Jabala comes and says whatever his mother had told him. And the teacher says, you are the student who is fit for Brahma Vidya. Why is that? Because you are able to hold on to Vyavaharik Satyam. Means you are able to hold on to truthfulness in transactional world. Only that person can hold on to truthfulness in absolute sense. Means Brahma is Satya Swarupa. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. He says you can hold on to that Satyam only if you hold on to transactional Satyam. Now again here we should see, in our life, Satyam, if somebody is a sadhaka, hopefully we will not end up speaking big lies. That sensitivity should have come, that we are not creating stories and telling so many other things. But in everyday transactions, somewhere or the other, asatyam creeps in. That part, if we are able to be mindful of, that part, if we can internally try to change, that will help in samadhi abhyasa. Sometimes we arrive late and somebody asks us, why are you late? Honest answer is, I woke up late. If that much we can say, whatever was the reason, we'll realize inside there is less conflict. The main thing is appreciating everything in what is relevant to us in our life. If we discuss Satyam taking somebody else's example, some Asura was there, something he did, that is okay. But really what will open up is looking at it in our life. Okay, so Ahimsa is the first Yama while interacting with others. Second one is Satyam, truthfulness. Third one is Asteya. Now Satyam, by the way, we had seen in Tapasya at speech level. What was said there? Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayate. Means it might be possible that something is Satyam. But doesn't mean we have to go and share it with others because we are Satyavadi. We should share it only if it is beneficial to that person, and if it is priyam. If it is dear to that person. There are so many things we need not say because it might not be dear to that other person. So keeping this in check. Okay, ahimsa, satya. Third one is asteya. Asteya means not coveting something which really doesn't belong to us. If he is a sincere sadhaka, he will not covet for anything. Yallabhase nija karmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. He says, if I have done the right karma, and if I really deserve something, there is no way Bhagwan will keep that thing away. In fact, nobody in this world is capable of keeping that thing away. If there is something which is rightfully belonging to us, that thing will come even if we don't ask for it. So this thought of not seeking something, covetousness, not seeking something which doesn't belong to us, he says that is this asteya. Now here also it includes a spectrum of things. A recognition that doesn't belong to us. Because see, here we are not going to steal some object. But when it comes to guidance, it is given from all standpoints. But those facets which are going to bother us, that is what we have to reflect upon. Recognition or some credit which really doesn't belong to us, he says, don't seek it. Our life is such, when we don't have something, we run after that thing. And we get it, or whenever we get it, we realize the hollowness of that thing. So it is said this yasha and recognition is like that. When we don't have it, we seek it so much. When we get it, we realize it is like sitting on a hot seat. The happiness we had before it, the freedom of mind that we had before it, before seeking that yasha and recognition, that is as though lost. So much of other thoughts have come, so much of constant stress is there for that sadhaka. You should ask those who have this recognition, they share this. If you read the interviews of presidents and the first families, they say they live such a stressful life. Can't eat what they want, can't go where they want. Every action they do is being judged. So when somebody realizes this, he says, Bhagwan, what really belongs to me will come anyway. Let me not go out of the way to seek something which doesn't belong to us. Ishavasya Upanishad, it is said, really speaking, nothing belongs to us. Ma gradaha kasya svidhanam. Even wealth, for that matter, really belongs to the Lord. So asteyam is that vritti where this person is not seeking something which doesn't belong to him. Then comes brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means there are different meanings of brahmacharya. Over here it is vairagya from physical body. Vairagya from physical body, seeking something beyond this physical body, interacting with the world without paying attention to physical body. That is this main sadhana in brahmacharya. You were seeing recently, Ashtavakraji, when he enters the court of Raja Janaka. Ashtavakra means one who was bent in 8 places. Ashta means 8, Vakra means bent. And it is at the people in the court, they pass some remark against Ashtavakraji or they laugh. And Ashtavakraji scolds Janak Maharaj. He said, I thought in your court there were all Vidwans. But really speaking, he says there are people whose attention is only on physical body. And that is considered to be the most preliminary state, pamara state in our spiritual journey. So brahmacharya is knowingly going beyond it. Okay. Another meaning of brahmacharya is mind which thinks about Brahma. But the main obstacle there is going to be deha. 4 done: ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Last one is aparigraha. Aparigraha means drawing a very fine line between necessities and hoarding. Necessities means basic things which we will need for our life. Anything beyond that is parigraha. Now this is a vritti. Vritti means it's a mindset that we should have for ourselves, but implement it in the right way. Because we don't live as an isolated individual. We live as a family, we live as groups. So whatever thought we have, over here it is said we should mainly try to apply it for ourselves. If we can bring it at a bigger scale, it will benefit everybody. Scaling down is good or not? You feel so light when you let go of things that you are not using, those things which are just sitting in the garage. But at the same time, it has to be done in a way where it doesn't create too much of conflicts. Because you'll see the moment you have to give, a lot of holding back will be there. There will be a lot of other types of perspectives and everything. But the main thing is that which doesn't belong to us, not holding on to it, that is asteya. And aparigraha is not keeping more than what we need. When it, we are already out of time. Okay. Next session we'll reflect on that asteya a little more. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. There is a question over here. No, this was just the answer to what I had asked. Hari Om, everyone.